Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking with CEO Ben Erwin. Ben, it's great to connect with you, visionary CEO of Charitybuzz. Since joining the company in 2008, you've spearheaded efforts that have generated over 500 million in incremental funds for over 5,000 charities. That's amazing. That's amazing. Let's talk about the power of giving back and how companies, you're doing it on a grand scale. But let's rewind and get granular for a minute. Today, when companies finding great talent is so hard, and a lot of that great talent is looking at the companies as far as what do they represent, in what areas do they give back, how are they aligned from a philanthropic standpoint. And so rewinding kind of what you do, how do companies and organizations today create a through line of giving in their organizations?
It's a good question, John, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Your intro reel just pumped me up. That's a good intro reel. It's a really good question. I mean, I think it all comes down to authenticity. Like we've got a more informed consumer now than we did 20 years ago when a lot of the cause marketing research came out from Carol Cohn about how the right cause marketing partnership can drive desired consumer behavior. So now it's not enough just to say, hey, this product or this service supports charity or a cause. It's what is the organization, specificity matters, and why is this organization or company supporting this cause? What is that through line? Yeah. And you want to preemptively answer that question before the consumer, the prospective client can even ask it. Because when it all can just be digested really easily, then it will have the desired outcomes versus feeling like they're just doing this for the sake of doing it. And then it almost has the opposite effect.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about your journey for a little bit. So you joined Charitybuzz in 2008. You're part of a company that is giving back and has, created over 500 million to 5,000 charities. But I'm a big believer that when you're the CEO and it seems like, this is very in alignment, our brief talk before we went live with you, but take me back now to a time where you knew that, hey, these are my values. This is my passion. This is where I feel most in alignment. And then how did it marry into and align with Charitybuzz?
Yeah, another great question. I kind of had to learn the hard way. So I grew up just planning to be a lawyer. That was my plan. That was my dream. I went to school for political science in DC. Like I was going to be a lawyer. I like to argue. I'm passionate. And I started meeting a bunch of lawyers and realized I didn't want to be a lawyer. That happened in college. So then I shifted to sales, which has, I think, a lot of the same qualities. And I remember having this conversation with my sister, who's older than me, when I was in college. Like, I'm just going to go get a job that makes the most amount of money possible. Yeah, that's why you work. So that's what I'm going to do. And he just laughed at me. He was like, "You're ignorant. Just wait. Like, that's not all that matters. But you go figure it out, Ben. You have all the answers." And so I took a job. It was a sales job for a financial consulting roundtable in DC. It was very like boiler room, cold calling. Yeah, you made good money, and I was miserable. Yeah, like I didn't believe that what I was selling and doing really had like any effect one way or another on the prospect of the client. Like it wasn't going to change what they did one way or the other. So I realized I needed something more to have my career be fulfilling and something I would be comfortable dedicating so much time to. But I didn't want to go work in the nonprofit sector because I still wanted to be able to make a good living. And that's unfortunately the kind of the compromise you had to make back in the early to mid 2000s. So I serendipitously found Charitybuzz. So I was like employee number 3. It was just an idea, no business model, no sales plan, nothing. And to me, it just married the two of them. It was a social enterprise before that was a term. It was for-profit business, supporting really good causes. Purpose was there. What we could do would have a real tangible impact on the world and who we're serving. And I fell in love with it. Like I knew it was what I needed to do before I even got a full-time job.
Yeah. what was it in your gut when you realized that was what you wanted to do versus what your gut told you when you took the job that was not fulfilling, that you hated?
So I think any really successful salesperson has to figure out a way to be effectively and strategically persistent.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, there has to be some fuel to your fire. So in that first job, the fuel was I just have to like make a certain amount of calls, hit a certain amount of numbers. And I could see that that fuel was running low. Like I wasn't able to sustain that forever because there's nothing behind it.
Yeah.
When I started doing sales and business development with Charitybuzz, I found that my inspiration to be persistent was from a place of me knowing that if this prospect actually listened to me and did what I said, that they were going to call me a month or two later and thank me for calling them every other day. So it was the passion that I knew was sustainable and therefore could really fuel me to do what I needed to do to be successful.
You know, passion, I appreciate that story. Passion is a word that gets thrown out a lot. It's almost cliche a little bit at this point, but there really is the foundation of finding your passion and letting that be the bedrock root of how you make decisions, and being able to tap into your gut. It is the key. One of my favorite quotes, "Success without fulfillment equals failure," Tony Robbins, it's spot on. My whole book, I wrote a book called The Think Big Movement. Selfless plug. You can download it for free with the companion workbook at jondwoskin.com. But the whole book, the foundation is based on that philosophy, on feeling stuck and finding fulfillment. So I'm a business coach. I work with solopreneurs to Fortune companies, executive managers, salespeople, every position you can imagine in a company. But I also have another company called Launch 3. And Launch 3 is an on-demand coaching platform that's $10 a month and providing people a platform for better living. And one of the things I hear a lot from them, it's for all ages, but for the members who are 20 to 23 about to graduate college, what I hear from 90%, not all of them, is I just want to get a job that pays the best price. Like, because you had said that earlier. And I get that from a survival standpoint, of course, but what guidance would you give that age group as far as preparation, taking the time to find the right place, to find the right fits, and not just taking because it's the highest offer?
I think you have to consider that, once you get into the workforce, you're going to be spending the majority of your waking life doing this thing, working at this company, building whatever it is that you're focused on. So that's a really big decision. So take as much time leading up to the graduation to learn as much as you can, not just about what the salary and benefits and commission structure is or stock options is. What does day-to-day look like? Can you find anyone in your alumni network who works at that company or similar companies? Like, what are you really signing up for?
Yeah.
And is that something that you can envision yourself being fulfilled in? Internships, coffees, meetings. I didn't do enough of that. So I had to learn the hard way. I don't resent it. I think it was a good learning experience for me. But if I knew leading into it what kind of that day-to-day was and I really considered it, I probably would have moved in a different direction because it just didn't line up with what I wanted and what fulfilled me.
Yeah. You know what I'd like to see, Ben? And now granted, as parents, I think it's our responsibility to kind of guide our kids that way. I don't know if everybody has the knowing to actually do that. And what I would like to see also is that schools start promoting that. There are so many people who are graduating schools, and I hear this all the time. I don't know what I want to do. So, I mean, this is for maybe another podcast, but I would like to see this, some of these schools and universities incorporated into their curriculum on helping people figure out what intrinsically drives them, to your point about finding their passion, understanding what their values, to align themselves a little bit more with what they want to do. Anyway, for another podcast, let's move on to you. Charitybuzz.com. Tell everybody what they're going to see when they get to the site.
It's a destination to live out your wildest dreams. and support great causes in the meantime. So we offer up unique access to people, places, events, things, lots of which you never thought were available because they are truly money can't buy experiences. But through the power of cause, our network, our history, we're able to give you the chance of having dinner with an Oscar award-winning actor, going backstage at a concert, meeting with the CEO of a Fortune 100 company. It's kind of, your imagination will go wild because there's not like a box that we operate in. We're always trying to find new verticals, new ways to compel people to give more money to charity. And we do it through the inspiration of your bucket list dream experiences or just really cool stuff you never thought was going to be made available.
It's so cool. What is one of the biggest items that you've sold and experiences?
We did so years ago, we had at the same time dinner on the site with one of the most famous movie stars in the world at a public place. So you're going to be seen with them, probably going to get like paparazzi pictures, like perfect fit. And then we had a cup of coffee with Tim Cook in his office. Nobody around, 30 minutes, very strict. That dinner with the movie star went for $100,000, which was great. Yeah. Coffee with Tim Cook went for $610,000. It generated 1 billion media impressions. Wow. The winner actually had a really nice connection with Mr. Cook. He ended up giving more money to the benefiting charity because he learned about it through the meeting. And it kind of opened up this whole new world of business experiences, which have become arguably our most popular and successful vertical. And something that complements the celebrity experiences really nicely because they're more accessible in a lot of regards.
It's amazing. So why wouldn't everybody, offer to be on your site of some type of status that they have? I would think it would be easy to find these packages or experiences. What's the process to get these and from your guys' side of the table?
Yeah, we find inventory a few different ways. The way that we started, and which still represents the largest, is with charities. So we prospect, we find charities that have supporters that we believe can be leveraged to create these really awesome experiences. And then we pitch them, we find them, we demonstrate our value proposition. And it works really well. The problem is, charities aren't incentivized to do things differently. They're not inherently innovative. So even the idea of doing an auction online versus in your room, is difficult for them to comprehend. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times the pushback is, well, we can't do that because we've done it this other way before. It's like, that doesn't exist in the for-profit world. That's if anything, a big deterrent in the for-profit world. So that becomes one pushback. We'll work directly with management companies, brands, agencies to go directly to the talent or the venue or thing. And then through some cases, third parties that have access to large amounts of inventory that we believe can be leveraged effectively on Charitybuzz. So it's not a difficult sale, but it's a slow sales cycle, especially when we're dealing with the charities, because that's just the way that sector operates.
And what type of charities do you typically work with that want to be, part of Charitybuzz?
It's kind of across the board, which is really interesting. So we've got a couple charities that are, maybe one full-time employee, small, regional. Maybe it's like a very esoteric cause or research for a disease that doesn't affect a ton of people, all the way up to Leukemia Lymphoma Society and St. Jude. So it really runs the gamut. I'd say the characteristics that make a charity the best fit are an entrepreneurial spirit, like a real desire to always be thinking outside the box and applying more to the this and that methodology versus the this or that, which we hear a lot. It's, we can't do an online auction. We're doing this thing at our live event.
Yeah.
So why don't we do both of them? Then you'll raise more money.
Yeah.
And that's hard for them to sometimes comprehend.
Yeah. That's interesting. As you're talking, I'm thinking, do you know my buddies, their brothers, Johnny and Jeff Immerman, Close Talk? I'll introduce you.
That'd be awesome.
They have a great organization. It's called Close Talk. Johnny Immerman built a huge business called Immerman Angels, which is one-on-one cancer support. You get diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, wow.
You go to this database and they connect you with somebody who has been through it and can mentor you through it. It's an incredible organization. He then started with his brother a company called Close Talk, and they work with charities, and the charities just get their name, and every shirt is black and the font is white. It's like everything's kind of uniform, but they use it as a way. He's in New York, Jon Dwoskin. I'll make an introduction.
That's great. Yeah, it's a great idea. The connection between the two. I love that.
Yeah, it's great. So let me ask you this. So you have a business, Charitybuzz. How do you get the buzz out about Charitybuzz? Because until you came across my desk for the podcast, I had never heard of you. And then sometimes when I come across some of these companies, I think, God, how have I not heard of this company? So how does Charitybuzz market themselves to get the buzz going?
Yeah, so it's we're fortunate to have a very loyal existing customer base. We have a few 100,000 people that we've acquired. It's through earned media, referrals, partnerships. We primarily communicate them through SMS and email. We have like a 40% retention rate. Like our existing base is great, which is why we have to build faster on top of it. So we'll do a lot of the normal, right? Meta, Google, digital advertising, acquisition. One of the things that we constantly battle just in terms of like performance versus approach is we're primarily an auction site. We do have a couple other channels, but auctions are short-lived. They're 2 weeks. Since it's a two-sided marketplace, we don't have incredible visibility into what's coming onto the site. So it makes media planning really, really difficult. So it becomes like the best way I could market Charitybuzz is I know exactly what you're interested in, and I serve you up ads of the experience that's going to like hit you right in the heart and bring you in. The problem is I can't optimize any of it because the shelf life is so short. So then it also becomes the Charitybuzz advertising. So more brand awareness, less attributable, but more of creating the sticky kind of brand experience. So we're shifting a little bit more towards the latter and bringing on some new resources and team members to solve the problem that you just mentioned, which I don't get frustrated about anymore. I see it as an opportunity, which is Charitybuzz is awesome. And if I can get Charitybuzz in front of the right audience, they all agree with me that it's awesome.
That's amazing.
So how do I just connect the dots? And how do I do it in a way that our business model supports? Because we know like media is only getting more expensive, and the behemoths in the space are increasingly figuring out ways to drain more money out of the advertisers.
Yeah. Do you have a podcast?
I don't.
Start a podcast.
Yeah, I know. I've been thinking about it because I've been doing more of these interviews.
You should.
And I've been enjoying them. And so it's definitely piqued my interest in creating one of our own. Yeah,
I think you should. All right, let's do a quick speed round. A book that's had a big impact on you.
Ride of a Lifetime by Bob Iger.
It's a good one. It's a great one.
He's the man.
I just recently took his masterclass on masterclass.com too, which was also really great. As was James Clear had a great one, and they've got a new one on AI, which is also great. I love masterclass.com. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
It was from my dad. So when I was first starting with Charitybuzz, it wasn't really a company. They didn't have any money in the summer months because there was no fundraisers. So I was told they weren't going to be able to pay me for a few months. And so I met with my dad. And he just said, like, if your passion's there and this is what you want to do, you can figure out a way for the next 3 months. You can live at home and then build this thing. And you'll never have to worry about money again. And that's all I needed to do to follow my gut. And the rest is history.
I love that story. There's a piece in the Think and Grow Rich with Napoleon Hill that, as you speak, is reminding me of it, where it says, if you're really passionate and you want to work somewhere, you go somewhere and you say, I'm so passionate about working here. I'm maybe getting some of this wrong, but this is the gist. I'll work for you for free for 3 months because I know that it's going to, exactly what you're talking about. And I use that. That story is always a big story that I keep in my mind when I'm doing anything. When I started my company here, when I started Launch 3, when I was in commercial real estate, when I had my internet, every time I always use that story as kind of like the foundation. Is this a place where I can tap into that story? And that goes back to what you shared earlier, which is it's all about fulfillment. It's all about fulfillment. Passion and fulfillment can drive great success. Last question. Finish this sentence. How can everybody who feels unfulfilled start getting on the path of their own personal fulfillment?
That's a very deep and very good question. I'm a huge believer in following your gut. Like your gut's always right, but nobody like listens to it. How do you embrace it? But if you get honest with yourself and listen to your gut, that's the pathway to getting the fulfillment you uniquely need. So stop putting it off. Stop saying, I'm just going to keep doing the status quo over here. Listen to your gut. It's there for a reason. It's called your gut. And just pursue it. And you're not going to regret it. You may not work the way you want it to, but you'll learn something and you feel good about following where you know your heart and passions lie.
Right. I believe that it's important to have mentors and coaches, and I think that's a very important part of life. But you also have to be able to learn to be silent, be reflective, be still, to ultimately tap into your gut and make decisions on your own. Because at the end of the day, who you look in the mirror and see is who makes the ultimate decision. That's full ownership. So I agree with you. I have always relied on my gut, And I think that the community, we talk a lot about that on the show. I talk a lot about this with my clients. Get to a space where you can hear and listen to your gut. Ben, tell everybody who your ideal clients are and how they can connect with you.
Yeah, so if you are interested in living out your wildest dreams or just seeing what's possible, sign up for our newsletter. Go to charitybuzz.com. We're adding new stuff to the site every single day. You're not going to be disappointed in just having fun checking out. If you're a charity, celebrity, manager, brand, and you're looking to find ways to reach a new audience, an affluent audience, raise new dollars for charity, give us a call. We will figure out a way to leverage whatever you've got and create some really valuable fundraising opportunities out of it. Reach me, ben@charitybuzz.com. I'm kind of obsessive about my email, so I will get back to you. And just one last thing I want to say, John, is I think mentors, coaches, or peer groups. I'm a YPO member. I believe strongly. I think they're really important too because they validate your gut. Because when you bring that up to your coach, your mentor, a peer group, they're the ones that are going to validate it. And that's how you learn how to listen to your gut. You don't have to go at everything alone. You should figure out how to do things alone. But that's the benefit of having the mentor or the group of people you can trust.
Yeah. And I've been to, I am not in YPO, but I facilitate YPO, retreats and, things of that nature. And it is creating the space. What I see at those meetings is just giving people the space to get to that place. And it's so true. Ben, this was a pleasure. Sam, we'll catch up for a moment. Think community, charitybuzz.com. Check it out. Share this with somebody who may need to know more about it. Ben, this was a pleasure. I appreciate it. In quick summary, success without fulfillment equals failure. Find your passion, everybody. And the universe will continually show you the way, one little micro step at a time. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate you.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, everybody.